Hello and welcome to the Punter as we endeavour to take a look at all of the best bets when it comes to the first round of Premier League games in 2013. I'm pleased to say that joining me in the studio, Gordon Watson, Flash is with me, and alongside Flash, we've got Chris Graham. Hopefully, both of them will be pointing us in the right direction when it comes to the best bets on these Premier League fixtures coming up on New Year's Day and the 2nd of January. First of all, though, chaps, how's your Christmas been so far, Flash?
Work-wise, it's been okay. We've let a couple get away that after the event you look at them and go, how did I not side with them? Personally, I've been ill for about 7 or 8 days, so it's not been good.
Profitable festive season for you, Chris, so far?
Not bad. I've been back in my own side, Queen of the South, which has been the road to mass profit this season. But yeah, I keep backing QPR as well, which is like, you know, falling off a cliff every single weekend. So not bad, Darren.
West Brom Fulham is the first game that we're going to take a look at on New Year's Day. It's the early kickoff. Let's take a look at the match prices for you. First up, Fulham in poor form at the moment. West Brom even money. The draw 12-5. Fulham 3-1. Does that accurately reflect, Flash, what's gone on over the last few games with these two sides?
More than I thought that West Brom would be odds on, because Fulham, they look like a team that are in real trouble, that they can't win. They seem to be disjointed. There seems to be a few rifts and a little bit of an undercurrent at Fulham. So the way West Brom have gone at home, they've hardly been beaten. I mean, they got beat against Stoke 1-0, but Stoke have turned out to be one of the hardest sides in the whole league to beat, and they got beaten in the last minute against Man City. So for me, it's West Brom all the way.
West Brom were beaten by Manchester United last time out, Chris, at Old Trafford, but many felt that they held their own for much of the game. Absolutely. It was an own goal and then a very late Robin van Persie goal that got United the points. How do you see this fixture?
I agree with Flash completely. I think it's one of the best bets of the coupon, the New Year's Day coupon, absolutely. West Brom, for me, I actually tipped them to go down at 92.
I think we all did.
Yeah, I did as well.
And, you know, I think when Steve Clarke came in, I think we were all a bit concerned there, but he's been an absolutely astonishing appointment. They've had a fantastic year, third in the home table, so they're obviously playing at the Hawthorns here, 7th in the real table. Just been absolutely wonderful this season. And then you look at Fulham, like Flash says, something that is not right there. Just one win in the last 12 games. Just conceding a lot of goals as well. It's concerning times at Craven Cottage at the moment. Fulham haven't won at the Hawthorns since December the 9th, 2000 as well, so that's another key stat for me. It's West Brom all the way here. I think they deserve to be odds on. They're not odds on, so with that in mind, you've got to lump on.
Even money could be a fair price. What about overs and unders? Do we see goals at the Hawthorns? Here are the prices when it comes to this particular market. Flash, how do you see the over and unders market?
Well, no, if you asked me to just give you a prediction, I'd say that I think they'll probably win 1 or 2-0, so I'd have to go under. And under happens to be the outsider of the two. You've got 4-5, over 2.5, and even money 2.5. I just feel that West Brom will take their time and they'll just get the job done and 2-0 comfortable.
Struggled, haven't they, Fulham, at the moment? And Ruiz has come back in to try and help Berbatov, but as Flash was explaining before, it's at the back they seem to be struggling. Mark Schwarzer, of course, missed out the weekend. No guarantee that he's going to play in this fixture.
Yeah, concerning times, definitely. I'm going over here. You know, despite the look at the table, Fulham have actually scored more goals than West Brom this season. You'd be surprised at that looking at the league table, but you know, I think up to about 6 weeks ago, they're one of the top scorers in the Premier League. They're still capable of scoring goals. West Brom as well, I think more than capable of knocking a couple.
You going overs here?
I'm going over. 2-1 West Brom over.
2-1 West Brom. Let's take a brief look at the first goal scorer market as well, shall we, for this fixture, because I struggle when it comes to West Brom, I must admit. We've seen Long play up front, we've seen Lukaku play up front, but he doesn't start too many games, does he, Lukaku? He's been more out than in this season. If you had to take a punt on first goal scorer, who are we looking at?
I think that Oddham Wingate at 8-1 is massive, or even one of the centre-halves, like a Jonas Olsen or someone like that who comes up for set pieces, because they don't mind getting the ball in the box. But Oddham Wingate, he pops up with his 8 to 10 to 12 goals per season. So for me, that I expect him to score goals from now on in.
Chris?
I'm not a fan of this market. I always try to find a double figure price that really entices me. So I've been scratching around and I found that I think Zoltan Guerra's 10-1 to score first 4 goals this season. Absolutely, you know, a pivotal piece of this West Brom jigsaw. And for me, I think at 10-1, he's definitely a shout.
Let's move on to Man City versus Stoke, shall we? The champions taking on one of the hardest to beat sides, but generally that's when they play at home. Away from home, it's been slightly different for Tony Pulis' side. We can take a look at the match prices for this fixture. Manchester City, big odds on, 4-11, draw 9-2. Stoke 11-1. Stoke conceded 3 last time out, but they missed Shawcross, they missed Cameron as well. One suspects they'll both be back for this one, Flash.
Yeah, and although they drew 3-3 against obviously Southampton, they should have won 4-5, maybe 6-3, because they were really hard done by on the day. Even though Southampton put up a spirited fight, I see that Man City cannot afford to slip up anymore this season. So for me, it's got to be win all the way. You've got to win all your home games, and obviously drop as fewer points as you can on the road. I expect Stoke to go there, maybe give a more spirited fight. It won't be a 4 or 5-0, but I see obviously only Man City winning. City
justifying the odds. Are they value at 4-11?
Not at all. You know, I had a look at their first half of the season results last year. They were smashing people up. This year, not at all. They haven't beaten anybody convincingly all season. They had a chance on Saturday against Norwich. The chance was there, 2-0 up in 5 minutes, but they couldn't do it. Yeah. I understand they lost a player, but they still couldn't do it. For me, you look, the home form was absolutely pivotal, and you look at the last 3 games. They drew with Everton, they lost to Manchester United, and they limped past Reading. So for me, I've got no confidence at all in Man City at the moment. I think they'll win, but let's remember, Stoke haven't lost in 2 months, so a narrow win for Man City for me.
Overs and unders on this one. Obviously, when City took on Norwich, we had 7 goals, but as the boys have already explained, at home it's been slightly different, and they did struggle to get past Reading. Do we see unders on this one? Is there a bit of value going unders Man City at home to Stoke if Stoke are going to try and keep it tight?
No, because I think that Stoke may well cause a threat. I mean, I can't remember the last time. Obviously, Man City beat Reading 1-0 and they kept a clean sheet. Apart from that, they've been shipping goals, and they always carry a threat, Stoke. So even if it's a narrow win, 2-1 or 3-1, then it's still going to be over for me.
Chris, how do you see this market?
I've got to be under odds against. You know, I think with Ryan Shawcross back, they'll tighten things up. Definitely, we won't see it repeat Saturday. That's for sure. And Man City I think they've scored half the goals they'd scored at this point last season. So for me, I think a 2-0 or 1-0 Man City win in this particular fixture, but Stoke will make it hard for them.
Half-time, full-time, I'm going to take a look at, because whenever we get a big odds-on favourite, punters generally look for that home, or the favourite, if you like, in the double result. Let's take a look at how the market shapes up for this, because if you do fancy Manchester City, if you think they're going to win comfortably, then you take the 5-6 about the City double result. A lot of the time we talk about this, Flash, on the show, and we quite like draw the favourite, yeah. So in this occasion it'd be draw Man City at 18-5. Is City going to struggle to kick it off quickly as they did against Reading?
No, because I think that what they'll do is they've got a little bit of a taste for it, and goals come in bunches, especially for strikers. So if he plays Dzeko and Aguero,
which he probably will do, won't he? Because they did play well against Norwich.
And obviously he's got to be combative for the set pieces against. He knows that Shawcross is going to come forward, Shotton's coming forward, Wilson's coming forward, so he'll need Dzeko rather than a Tevez to go back for the set pieces. But yeah, I'll see one of them scoring early. So I think this. Don't forget City at 4-11. I think just go 5-6, and maybe if something goes wrong, maybe Stoke Man City.
Chris?
I'm a trends man, I'm a stats man through and through, and one of the key trends, one of the key stats of this 2012-13 season is Man City's this strength in the second half. I think 70% of their goals this season have come in the second half, and even latterly, that like last 30 minutes, last 15 minutes. So they're a team that start poorly and kick into gear. We saw many times against Wigan at the end of November. Just one example that pops into my head. So naturally, I'm going for the 18-5 here and draw Man City.
Wigan versus Manchester United, also up in the northwest. We saw a shock result here last season. When we take a look at the match prices, the bookmakers believe that normal service will be resumed here, because Manchester United, I guess as you would expect, they are the league leaders, are the short price favourites to get the job done. They are big odds on 6-10, Wigan 11-2, draw 16-5. Flash, can we trust United odds on?
No, you can't trust them until you wouldn't put these in your coupon until you see what side he plays. If he goes with a Giggs, a Scholes and a Carrick in the same
Why is he doing that, Flash?
I don't know, because it doesn't do his side any good. They're pedestrian. Yes, they may keep the ball, but they're so slow, and you can't be slow against a really athletic Wigan side. So if it's cleverly Young, Valencia and Carrick, then I see Man United winning. If it's the others that can get pushed about off the ball, then I certainly see Stoke winning at some stage.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because Sir Alex Ferguson, when he's played the bigger teams, the Chelsea, Manchester City, the Arsenal this season, as Flash has just pointed out, he does play Carrick cleverly in the middle. He plays Valencia as well, young players as well. When he wants to take a chance, when he hasn't got the respect for teams, potentially Giggs and Scholes come in. Team use could be key for this one.
Yeah, Flash is right, absolutely. And it's quite un-Ferguson-like, you know, hanging on to Giggs and Scholes. You know, he's quite ruthless, really, usually when he gets rid of players. I just think we've not given Man United enough respect this season. You know, I really believe that. I mean, they've got a higher points tally at this stage of the season than any other side in Premier League history, bar Chelsea 05-06 and United themselves in 06-07. We're always moaning about their defence, Giggs and Scholes. Ferdinand's gone as well, but let's pay them a bit of respect here. And they'll be hurting after what happened here in April, where, of course, they lost 1-0, and it put a massive dent in their title hopes. You know, it started to evaporate in front of their eyes that particular Easter night. I just think United will be angry after that. They'll want to respond here. They've got a great record at the JW as well. 4-0, 5-0 wins in recent years, and I think they'll hose up here.
Really? So when we look at overs and unders, are we going to go overs here, Chris? What do you like?
Yeah. I think
we're going to generally good for a goal.
Absolutely, well, of course, especially with this Manchester United defence. You know, like we say, they've actually conceded more goals already this season than they have in three previous season campaigns last decade. I'm getting a bit excited here, but yeah, for me, I think Wigan can score. I like 3-1 United, 3-1 United, so over 2.5 for me.
Overs and unders, Flash?
Yeah, I mean, instead of going over, which looks obvious, maybe both teams to score might be better than 4-7.
Getting increasingly popular, both teams to score. First player to score, briefly on this one. We never know who's going to play for United. Still, Robin Van Persie came on as a sub against West Brom and still copped the market because it was an own goal to start. Who do you like for first player to score?
I mean, you can't go outside. I think Rooney might be back.
There's a possibility.
Yeah, so if he's been away for the last 2 games, I fancy he'll be sharp. So I'd probably go for Rooney.
Rooney, if he plays for you?
It's really hard to find an angle here.
It's difficult, isn't it? Especially with United, because you don't know who's going to start.
Yeah, I've got lots of angles in these later games, but I think Van Persie 3-1 here, as dull as that is.
Well, Van Persie copped it in the 90th minute against West Brom, of course, for first player to score. Punter. He was very popular in that game against West Brom, and if he starts, he might be the pick against Wigan. More Premier League previews to come on those New Year's Day fixtures, plus we'll take a look at the games on the 2nd as well. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Punter. We promise you the best bets when it comes to the Premier League fixtures, the first round of Premier League fixtures in 2013. Lots to look forward to, of course, and I'm pleased to say that Flash Gordon-Watson and Chris Graham are with me in the studio to pick the bones out, the best bets, the best markets for the Premier League games. We continue with the match featuring Spurs, who take on Reading with no Gareth Bale. Let's take a look at the match odds. I don't know if these have changed since Gareth Bale's 5th yellow card of the season. Spurs are still very short threes on, draw 4-1, Reading 9-1. The stats say that Spurs win percentage drops 13% when Bale doesn't play in the Premier League over the last 50 games. Should we be too concerned, Flash, or should we just lump on Spurs?
Yeah, I think Spurs will win the game, but I also think that could well be a draw at half-time. So in which case, if 1-3, it'll probably become 4-6 at half-time. So I would say bet him running here, because the one thing that you look at Reading, the last 3 games, for all intents and purposes, they kept a clean sheet at Man City.
Pretty much.
93rd minute, kept a clean sheet at home to Swansea, kept a clean sheet at home to West Ham, and it's because they're now playing a 4-5-1 rather than a 4-4-2, which they've always been known for. So I think they'll take out exactly the same mentality. They'll get players behind the ball, try and frustrate Spurs, but Spurs is quality and depth on the bench, and that will come through.
Flash has pretty much talked me into something like a draw at half-time, but how do you see the match prices, Chris?
1-3 Spurs just makes me no thanks. Far too short. This for me has got banana skin written all over it. We've saw Spurs before go on these amazing runs, and you start to get convinced that they can finish in the top 4, and then they slip up. 5 wins out of 6, they lost to Wigan. 3 wins in a row, they lost to Everton. I just think, without Gareth Bale, who has absolutely the talisman on his side, and a Reading side, which conceded just 1 goal in their last 3 games, showed so much spirit after what happened against Man City just before Christmas, coming back, drawing with Swansea, and then that wonderful win a couple of days ago. This is a side with spirit, it really is, and I just think 9-1's a bit short of that. If you gave me 12-1, I'd back Reading here. The Spurs price is far too short. I'm opposing Spurs.
Well, let's take a look at the half-time, full-time market, shall we, for this one? Because, as per usual, when you've got a short price favourite, three's on. Punters like to go into the 10 to 11 about Spurs, but Flash has already convinced me that as Chris, you were saying as well, I smell some type of upset. I'm not quite sure what it's going to be, whether it's going to be a draw at half-time, whether it's going to be get ready on the Asian handicap, or whether it's going to be Reading clean sheet. I don't know exactly how I'm going to play it. But for this particular market, draw Spurs, I guess, is the one that we look.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. But the way to play it is you lay Spurs at 1-3 before the start of the game. And then if Reading, and you still have in the back of your mind, you expect Spurs to win. So first of all, you're not worried if they do go 1 or 2 up because you're laying a 1-3 shot. It shouldn't be there. But if Reading go 1-0 up or it's 0-0 at half-time, you can trade back. More than. You'll be sitting there with a bet to nothing. So for me, it's to lay it. But I think Spurs will come through. Draw Spurs. I think this is definitely looking like Spurs-Swansea the other day.
Half-time, full-time for you?
I've got to stick with Reading. I'm just making this big stand. I think draw Reading 22-1. Put 50p on that. Spurs have this proclivity for conceding in the last 10 minutes. It echoes of the Wigan game back in September here, perhaps. So perhaps a late goal for Reading, stealing it 1-0. Draw Reading.
Let's move on to Swansea against Aston Villa, shall we? Because Swansea still going well in the Premier League. Aston Villa, it's fallen apart. Let's look at the match prices first up for this game, because Swansea, as you would expect, are short 4-6. Should they be shorter? Draw 11-4, Villa 11-2. We keep poo-pooing odds-on favourites here, saying that there's no value in them. But 4-6 Swansea looks value to me. Flash, yes or no?
More than value. I can't give my back into Aston Villa or Queen's Park Rangers any longer because they're just not doing it. Swansea shift the ball better than most sides. They've got, obviously, Michu will come back in as well. And I think it's time for personally myself is to stand up and say what a great job Michael Laudrup's done.
Fantastic so far. Can they justify odds of 4-6?
If you saw those odds in August, you'd laugh.
Yeah.
That's how much. And I think what betting's all about, and what I try to do with betting is take on short-term views. And everyone's bashing Aston Villa. Everyone was loving Aston Villa 2 weeks ago when they beat,
when they beat
Liverpool. Oh, Lambert's doing a great job. So you've got to take on short-term thinking here. And I just think this is Aston Villa team who've got potential. They've beaten Liverpool, they beat Man City in the Capital One, they drew with Arsenal, they led Man United 2-0 earlier in the season. I just think 11-2, it's worth a small stake. If you saw these odds even 2 weeks ago, you'd have balked. Betting's all about taking on short-term views. That's my opinion. I'll probably end up in the poorhouse here, but I have to take a stand against a very short Swansea price.
I quite like Swansea short price.
You've got to because Villa now they fold like a pack of cards as soon as the first goal goes in.
How difficult is it, Flash? If all those young players, you must have played in young teams where you look around and there's no experience there, and the heads go down. At Wigan they were pretty poor as well, as they were coming off the back of awful defeats. To
well, we
Chelsea
spoke about this,
game.
and we spoke about this a few weeks ago, and we on this show, and we said that the good thing about having youngsters, they bounce back really quickly. It doesn't stick with them for too long. But when you get back into the next game and you go 1-0 down, or it all comes back to you, it all comes flooding back. But they haven't been quick enough to the ball. They've been passed around. They're not gone with runners. So for me, there are the three things that Swansea do. Swansea pass and move off the ball better than most. They create chances, and this Villa side, they offer it on a plate.
Let's take a look at the overs and unders. I think we can take a look at for this particular market. Obviously, if you've been playing overs and unders opposing Villa, I guess, because Villa ain't scoring goals, but you've still been copping if you go for the overs. They tried to shore it up at the back, but it's just not been happening for them, has it?
No, I can't believe 4-5. Because they do offer a threat in Benteke and Wyman. But obviously, Swansea have got goals all over. They've got the second top scorer in the league. So for me, I was expecting them to be like a 4-6 or an 8-11. 4-5 for over 2.5. I think you've got to go with it.
Chris?
I'm going to go under because, again, it's been a horrible, horrible 3 games for Aston Villa. They've conceded as many goals as Chelsea did the whole season in 04-05 in these 3 games. But before that, they really had sorted the defence out. I think they went 8 games, conceding no more than 1 goal in those 8 games. It's there. The realisation is there. They just need to get back to what they were doing in November, first half of December, and things will change. Things will turn for this club, and it might just be on New Year's Day. Day.
Yeah, they're going to win at some stage. I don't think they're going to win on New Year's Day.
They have to.
I don't see it coming. I really don't. I think that...
I mean, they've got to wait till the likes of Vla and Dunn get back, and they need that experience.
They need more than that. They need leaders. They need leaders in the middle of the park as well. Benteke can't do it on his own. He's 20-year-old. So something's got to give, or some players have got to come in. But as we stand at the moment, I see them only going one way.
West Ham against Norwich is the next game we can take a look at. Match prices, first of all, for you, because West Ham here, as you can see, are the favourites at 6-5, draw 5-2, Norwich at 13-5. Chris, you were talking about short-term thinking. Well, Norwich have had the odd poor result, but surely they're too big at 13-5, or how do you see it?
I think they're too big at 13-5. I'd probably be a wee bit more conservative and go with the draw here. West Ham, you know, you think back to the Chelsea game, that wonderful win at Upton Park, that emotional victory when we beat Rafa Benitez's Chelsea side. But apart from that, it's been a disappointing couple of months. 5 defeats in their last 7 games, and you know they're levelling off. They're plateauing back to where they should be, which is in the bottom 8 of the table. Norwich unbeaten in 10. I know Flash hates Norwich, but I've got to give them so much respect. And even they've lost 3 in a row, but every one of those defeats have been justifiable. There's still not been a bad result in the last 3 months for this wonderful club with this wonderful manager. Draw for me here.
Flash?
Yeah, draw at best. I mean, I was looking at it and thinking, draw at best for them, you know. I don't see them getting many points in the whole of January, so I see them being back down there. But the big thing they've got going for them, and they've had a little bit more luck, is the likes of Nolan, who's main goal threat for West Ham. He's not going to play.
Yeah, he's out.
Collins at centre-half,
True.
He's not going to play. Obviously, there's no Diarmi, there's no Andy Carroll, but I'm siding on, at best, I think it'll be a draw.
Those are the match prices. Let's take a look at the first player to score market, shall we, on this one? Because the Flash was talking about Nolan missing, and he's generally towards the top of the betting when it comes to West Ham. He's not now because he's not playing. Cole 6s, Jarvis 11, Noble on spot kick duty 14s, and then for Norwich you've got Holt, Snodgrass and Pilkington. Who are the players that you like when it comes to first player to score? I
think you've got to look at Noble at 14s because he takes penalties straight away. It's a bit like Arteta at Arsenal. But I look at this side and I'm thinking, normally, it's an easy phrase for me to say that West Ham would be too strong for Norwich, but these midfields are going to be like tiny. You got Gary O'Neill, you got Jarvis, you got Noble, and then you on the other side you got Houlihan, Pilkington, Teti, and I'm thinking to myself, who's going to get a grip in this game? And that's why I like West Ham to maybe break the scoring from going from back to front a little bit earlier than Norwich.
Chris?
I like a man who pulls the strings for Norwich, a vital player for the Canaries, and that's Wes Houlihan. And there's a real price discrepancy about his first goal score price. As short as 8-1 with some firms, as big as 16-1 with other firms, double the price. So I just think Houlihan at 16-1 is a gorgeous price.
Outstanding player.
Yeah. Late kick-off on New Year's Day. On the box, it is Southampton against Arsenal. Southampton drew, of course, with Stoke last time out. Arsenal eventually got beyond Newcastle. Spectacular scoreline. Those are the match prices, as you can see on screen here. Southampton 4, draw 3-1. Arsenal 8-11. Last time we previewed an Arsenal away game, Flash, they were at Wigan. We both liked them. They just about scraped home. Can we trust them at 8-11? To get the better of one of the former clubs. More
than you can more than trust them at 8-11 because Southampton, they'll give them a football match. Southampton, we know that I think they're one of the cleanest sides in the whole of the division. They don't lay a glove on you. If you don't lay a glove on Arsenal, they will play round you, go back round you again, and then put it through your legs. I think that everything that Southampton have done this year will play into Arsenal's favour, apart from maybe the odd set piece. I think both teams will score, but I can see this being like a 4-2 to Arsenal.
Maybe more goals on the agenda, Chris?
I actually struggled with this one. I really am. Can you really trust Arsenal at 8-11? You know, people are getting a wee bit excited for me. You know, Arsenal 4 wins in a row. Three of their wins have been against teams in poor form. They've got a rancid fixture list in January. Man City, Chelsea. Let's just see what Arsenal are like then come January. So I think Arsenal will win, but I don't think it's going to be straightforward. Southampton, really good side at home. 3 of their 4 wins this season have come at home. Ricky Lambert scoring again, which is always a positive. So a narrow win for Arsenal, reluctantly for me.
Overs and unders we can take a look at. I think we're all edging towards overs, but again, it's got to be a value price if we are going to punt this particular market. And as you can see from the prices, over 2.5, 8-13 seems pretty short. Should we push the boat and go over 3.5, 11-8? Flash?
Yeah, Southampton let in so many goals, but so do Arsenal now. Arsenal, they don't mind letting in 2 or 3 because they're going to go and score 4 or 5. So for me, I think over 3.5 at 11.8 value, but you have your main one on over 2.5. I think it's a shoe-in.
Chris?
8 to 13.
Short,
isn't it?
It's
just very, very short. So I'll try and make a case for under 2.5 at 6 to 5. You're right, Flash. Southampton have been conceding a lot of goals in the first part of the season and on Saturday. But in the period between late October and mid-December, they've never conceded more than 1, I think, in 9 out of 10 games. So they've really tightened up. So there's someone to cling on if you like under 2.5.
Strange, if you do like it, I mean, I wouldn't really want to take 8 to 13 at over 2.5, but you can imagine if it's nil and after 10 minutes, and obviously there's no guarantee that, but it's going to edge towards even money. It's not going to be even money, but because it's quite short, the in-play market might be interesting on the overs.
Yeah, I just see goals all the way because Southampton, they play on the front foot at home. And when they play on the front foot, they'll play a high line. They've got no pace at the back. So if they've got no pace at the back and they play a high line, you know as well as I do, Walcott to get through, Oxlade to get through, Podolski, the game will be stretched from early on. So for me, I can only see goals and entertainment all the way.
You mentioned Theo Walcott. Let's see how Theo lines up in the first play to score market, shall we? Because he has taken over central striking duties for Arsenal, and it's no surprise to see him as a 5-to-1 shot. 3 months ago, probably about 10-12-to-1 shot. Not anymore. Giroud 11-2. Obviously, I can't imagine they're both going to start. Podolski will start left 6-1. Lambert, Rodriguez, Ramirez corner the market for the Saints. He's getting shorter every week, Theo Walcott. There's going to be some price we're going to stop backing him. But I guess for those that like Theo, 5-1 is a bet, or is it?
No, he's a bet for them exact reasons I've just said to you, that Southampton will play a high line. Yeah, they couldn't find each other a map and a compass. The gaps are that big. And when you look at the way that Arsenal play, he can come off the line, he can make a run. I like Podolski to score at any time as well, because if you ever look at the teams that they've played, players who ghost in at the back post, they don't get picked up, and he loves doing that.
Best first goal scorer pick, or any-time goal scorer for that matter?
I'll go with my main man, Ricky Lambert. I love the guy to bits, and you know he's finding form. It's the first time he's strung 2 consecutive games where he's scored together, and yeah, I think he's 7-1, decent shout. You know, in form, they have 9 goals this season, second highest scoring Englishman in the league. You know, lots of positives there. And Arsenal, no great starters. They're 9th in the half-time table. You know, which indicates to me that they don't start games as well as their full-time position is. So reasons to suggest that Southampton can perhaps take the lead, and lots of reasons to suggest that Ricky Lambert will be the man to score first.
Lots of goals we're predicting one way or another, or at least myself and Flash and Chrissy G has made a good case for unders, but let's face it, it's going to be a goal fest at the St Mary's, isn't it? Much more to come when we take a look at more of the Premier League games. We are going to take a look at the games on the 2nd of January. Plenty of live football, of course, coming your way. And we've got some speciality markets to dip into as well. We'll be looking at the Premier League outrights, the relegation, the sack race, and so on. Much more to come on the Punter. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Punter. Premier League fixtures on the agenda as per usual, and all the best bets coming your way. 3 games on Wednesday in the Premier League. 3 games for Flash and Chris Graham to pick out the best bets. And first up, we're going to see the game featuring Chelsea. Let's take a look at the match prices, shall we, for this particular fixture. No real surprise here to see Chelsea as very, very short to beat their West London rivals, Queen's Park Rangers. 2-9 Chelsea, draw 11-2, QPR 14-1. QPR were awful. You said earlier in the show, Flash, that you're making no excuses for Harry Redknapp's side anymore. So therefore, do you put your £9 on to win 2, Chelsea?
Oh, yeah, if you force me, yeah, exactly. if you force me, then I think that there's worse bets about, to be honest. But the thing is with Queen's Park Rangers, for a team that's so desperate, this will be bigger than Blackburn going to Manchester United last season and winning, because I see nothing in Queen's Park Rangers that tells me that they want to win, that they've got the fight to win. They've got no urgency, they've got no energy, they've got no togetherness, they've got no leaders. The list is endless, and Harry, he's got the biggest job on in his whole life. He needs 10 new players.
He needs 10 new players, Chris.
Yeah, they're shocking, absolutely shocking, and I actually backed them to beat Liverpool yesterday. You know, how many times will I get taken in by QPR? But they're appalling. Let's be honest. Chelsea, on the other hand, are flying at the moment. 4 wins in a row. The last time we did that was back in the autumn, when we were all raving about Hazard, Mata and Oscar in the middle of the pitch. But in that wee period back in the autumn, we conceded 4 goals. And this 4 wins in a row, they've conceded only 2. So they've tightened the defence up as well as this attacking, free-flowing 8 goals against Villa, as you see. So Chelsea absolutely bubbling at the moment, and there's just no chance for QPR.
Do you know what? I thought you might try and make a case for QPR.
I've done it every week, Dan. I'm sick of it. I'm absolutely sick of it.
They've burnt their bridges with everybody now. And exactly. They're gone down for me. And if they do stay up, then it's all down to Harry and his 10 new players that he left to sign in January. Because I just do not see anything. I didn't see no want, no fight, everything that you'd want to see from a side at the bottom. Just non-existent.
The only wee angle, I guess, would be it's a local derby. QPR fans hate Chelsea.
What about Ross Turnbull playing for Chelsea instead of Belichick, which potentially could happen?
He did excellent against Everton, though.
I'm clutching it.
No, you are. Just forget it.
Let's take a look. There must be an angle from a betting point of view, because we don't really like the 2 tonight, even though if we had to, we'd back them. What about overs and unders, maybe? Because when we've watched Chelsea recently, they've been firing in goals fairly regularly, apart from the game against Norwich. I mean, 2's on, it's over 2.5. I mean, sometimes you've got to factor in that if QPR aren't going to score, I mean, I tend to think maybe under 3.5 at 4 to 6 might be a bet. How do you see it?
Well, I see over 2.5 instead of Chelsea at 2 to 9. I think that there'll definitely be 3 goals. And
all Chelsea goals.
Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, again, you don't mind. I mean, you expect them, because they don't even see them getting into Chelsea's half. So yeah, I think over 2.5 at 1 to 2 is better than the 2 to 9 Chelsea.
Chris,
those prices are horrid. Let's be honest. I mean, you have to make a case for the unders here in this particular game. Under 3.5. Surely, I mean, QPR, despite the shambles of yesterday against Liverpool, they've not been conceding that many goals. They've not been scoring many either. And
they were tighter in the second half.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, exactly.
They took their striker off though and put like 2 defensive midfielders on.
And put Derry on.
And there was no. That's all he did. He was looking at his for and against column.
Is he going to start that way against Chelsea?
I don't think you can. I think you've got to try and play players that are going to give you a bit of energy and a bit of bite.
Maybe Redknapp, you'd imagine Redknapp would have went in the dressing room yesterday and ripped him to shreds. Will he get a reaction from that? But let's be honest, how many times can you make a case for them? Be made to look like a fool, like I'm getting made every week.
Yeah.
It was Liverpool who made us all look like fools yesterday, because I think most of us did look at QPR one way or another. Liverpool, of course, in action against Sunderland on Wednesday. Every time I think I'm going to back Liverpool or do back Liverpool, suddenly they fall off a cliff and the form goes. These are the match prices for the game at Anfield. They're 4 to 9, draw 7 to 2, Sunderland 8 to 1. Every time I put up Liverpool at a short price, they get beat. Sunderland rode their luck against Spurs, were deservedly beaten, I think, in the end, even though there was a controversial Spurs win for 1 or 2 reasons. Liverpool 4 to 9, Flash?
A lay.
Lay, yeah.
Got to. They continue to let you down. Especially, and I'll go back to saying what I was before. If Joe Allen plays at home, then I'll definitely lay. If Joe Allen doesn't play and Gerrard plays, then I think that Liverpool could win comfortably. But so again, it's a little bit on the selection, a little bit like Manchester United. I think that Sunderland can frustrate. And I tell you what, the 8 to 1 about them.
It's not out of your question, is it?
No. It's definitely viable. Definitely viable. I was thinking last night when I was preparing for the show, I don't say a good word about Liverpool ever on the show. And I thought, why is that? Because I quite like Liverpool as an institution. And I thought, well, it's because of their price every week. It's far too short every single week. So you have to take them on. You have to take them on. So that's the reason why I'm anti-Liverpool. It's because their price is short every single week. There is a case for Sunderland. Their form has markedly improved since like early December. 3 wins and 5. Played well against Spurs. And remember, this was the time of the year last year when they really got things together. They beat Man City on New Year's Day. So, yeah, of course there's a case. The last 2 times these sides have played at Anfield, it's been a draw as well. So there's definitely a case for getting involved with Sunderland at 7 to 1.
Overs and unders. I guess we're looking at unders here. That's the sort of natural feeling. The prices reflect that as well, as we can see. Overs 8 to 11. Beg your pardon, they don't. Overs 8 to 11. Under 2.5, 11 to 10 appeals to me straight away. Flash. I actually thought it was going to be the other way around.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if it is. 11 to 10. 11 to 10, your eyes go like that. Yeah, under for me as well. I fancy the...
I mean, Sunderland are going to try and shut up shop.
Of course, they're going to frustrate them. That's exactly what they're going to try and do. And Liverpool can be frustrated. Remember, Liverpool, they only beat... they got beat 3-1 at home to Villa. They only beat Southampton 1-0.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until Joe Allen came out the side and Steven Gerrard
You
started...
like Joe Allen, don't you, Frank?
Well, I just don't think I don't think he suits a forward-thinking team.
Slows things down a bit, doesn't he?
Too much. Whereas you've got Gerrard there, who will intercept missiles over 40 and 50 yards and force you to attack.
Yeah, just like he did in that 4-0 win over Fulham. Overs and unders for you, Chris?
Unders is huge price. If Flash says that, if that's correct. 11 to 10 is a massive price. I actually like no goal scorer here.
Yeah.
And you get that a huge 14 to 1 for it to be no goal scorer. I think that's a definite shout here. Liverpool are not prolific when it comes to scoring goals, well, apart from yesterday. But generally they're not, like you say, 1-0 against Southampton, 1-0 against Reading as well, if my memory serves me correctly. Yeah, I think 0-0 here at 14 to 1 is a shout. Under 2.5, God, beautiful price.
Newcastle, Everton next up. Let's take in the match prices first of all. I would imagine this is a difficult one for the odds compilers to price up. Newcastle 2 to 1, Everton 6 to 4, draw 12 to 5. Flash, what's gone wrong with Newcastle this season?
No creativity in midfield. 7 to 9 players that would possibly be in your starting 11 are injured. You've got Demba Ba and Cisse who don't click. They are both very, very individual. Manager signed an 8-year contract. There's a bit of complacency about the place. And again, teams go there and they're not afraid anymore. They're not afraid. They go to, when Newcastle come to town, they're going to give them a chance because they don't keep clean sheets. And at home, they're just not got the pace to actually spring from defence or midfield into attack. So, but I look at Everton and I think 6 to 4, Everton away. That's miles too short. Absolutely. I thought it'd been the other way, 6 to 4. But I mean, worst case scenario is a draw for me. But I wouldn't want to be with Newcastle.
Chris?
I think like their Merseyside cousins, Everton are pretty short every single week. That's why I'm always opposing Everton, even though they're probably my favourite side in the Premier League. I just worry about how will they react to that Chelsea game on Sunday. I mean, that's a big sign. Their first home defeat in 9 months, and I think, you know, that's a damaging defeat. I mean, it's almost a subconscious sign that you don't belong in the top 4. You don't belong in the top table. Get back to 6th and 7th where you belong. So I think that how will Moyes rally his troops for that, you know? And I just think it's 6 to 4. It's far too short for me. Newcastle 8 defeats in 10. They're actually on worse form now than they were in 88-89 when they got relegated with Merendinha in the side. So concerning times for Newcastle. Everton are drawn 9 times this season. I think it'll be 10 after this game. Draw for me.
Yeah, first time I've heard Merendinha named in a television show for a long, long time.
And Morales and Fellaini could well be back.
Yeah, Fellaini will be straight back in.
Exactly,
sure.
And Morales gives them something different. I just thought they run out of legs against Chelsea. For the first half an hour, they were fresh. They pressed Luiz and Lampard so far back that they were almost on Cahill toes. Then they as they come off and took their foot off the gas, they give Chelsea space. So I'm just wondering how tired they are because they've all played all the games over the Christmas period. I
don't know if we can look at the first play to score market in this one, because we know that Demba Ba, according to the newspaper, so whether it's true or not, I don't know, he's having talks with Chelsea as we speak.
Yeah, that's broke down, that.
Oh, is it right? Okay,
Yeah,
so Ba 6, Cisse 7, Amiobi 8, and then for Everton here we've got Jelovic and Ichibi and Payne. Obviously, Fellaini will come back, we think. What about this Newcastle situation up front? Because either Ba scores or Cisse scores. They don't seem to be able to play together.
No, but they don't often get the first goal. So that's first of all, and then this is what this market is. I'd go for Fellaini. He's 3 games out. He'd have been champion at the bit. He's going to be fresh. Completely, it wasn't injured. He's been suspended. So for me, and one thing about Newcastle, they've been shocking at defending second phase ball, and you know that's when Fellaini gets in.
Best bets for you?
Yeah, I'm really struggling with this market, and I think Flash has tipped me up there, a beauty on Fellaini. But you're right to say that about Ba and Cisse. I think just twice they've scored in the same game.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Amazing. And everyone's drawing about Demba Ba at the moment, saying, "Oh, what a great player." But just remember, I don't think he scored between January and May at the start of this year.
He didn't.
So again, short-term, medium-term thinking there. Huh?
Be interested to see where Demba Ba ends up, and you never know, he may still be at Newcastle. Whether they'll continue to struggle remains to be seen. It's a difficult one to call, the match at St James's between Newcastle and Everton. Those are the matches previewed. It is, of course, coming up to the start of 2013, so we're going to take a look at some outright markets next. We've got the Premier League outrights, we've got relegation, sack race, all coming your way. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Punter. Coming away in the final part, we'll be taking a look at all of the outright markets that have caught our guests' eyes. I'm pleased to say that Flash and Chris Graham still with me in the studio. Boys, we're going to take a look at the title odds first of all. This is how the market shapes up as we head into 2013, with Manchester United 2-5, City 7-2, Chelsea 15-2. I don't really think we need the rest, do we, Flash? Who do you see winning the title? Well,
the same as I did at 9-4 at the start of the season in Manchester United, and Chelsea being laid at 9-4 to win it. I think it was September, October time. So for me, it's a 2-horse race. I think the big one's going to be Chelsea when they play Man United and they play Arsenal and they play Man City. That'll be whether they get into second, but I don't see it.
Chris?
I think Chelsea are a decent price at 15-2. Obviously, they're beginning to purr a little bit, but I did say Man United at the start of the season. I got one thing right in the Premier League at Anti-Post. I did say Man United because the whole thing with Man City was there was two ways of thinking. One, would they just kick on and dominate for the next 4 to 5 years? Or two, would the old adage about being harder to defend your title than it is to win it outright? And I think the latter has been the case there. So no Man City for me. I think Man United will win again, which well deserved. But I think there's a wee bit of value in that Chelsea price.
Relegation, other end of the table. Let's take a look at the market as it stands at the moment, ahead of those games on New Year's Day and beyond. With Reading 2-7, QPR 2-7. The bookmakers have wised up about QPR, I think. Southampton 6-5, Villa 7-4, Wigan 5-2. Should I go further, Flash?
Yeah, go further. Go further, definitely.
Sunderland 9-1, Fulham 11-1.
Yeah, I think Sunderland are better, are safer than Fulham and Newcastle.
Yeah,
that is for sure. But if Newcastle lose their goals, then them and Fulham. I've got Fulham really only going one way at the moment.
Who's your three to go down?
I've changed. It was Swansea and Norwich and maybe West Brom. So as them three are doing okay, I'll go with Villa, Fulham and QPR.
Who do you see going down? Who's the value to go down?
The value for me probably is Wigan at 5-2. Far too much silly talk about Wigan that they'd finished in the top 10 this year. They'd finished comfortably in mid-table nonsense. And they haven't done anything this season to dissuade me from going against my original opinion in July, which was that they'd go down. I still think 5-2 is too big a price. So for me, the value is Wigan at 5-2. I understand what Flash is saying about Fulham as well. 11-1 is a bit too large.
I guess the point with those big prices that you can see Fulham getting shorter. If they lose their next two, they're probably going to be 3-1 shots to go down, especially if one or two of the bottom clubs pick up points.
Yeah, again, and it's
sometimes you don't need the bet to cop if you can trade it out for a profit.
Well, and that's what you're looking at all the time. I mean, and if you're going to do that, then Wigan will probably trade at even money at some stage, and likewise, you'd probably want to lay Reading at 7-2 on, and because they might even meet 8-11 or something like that. So there's plenty growth in all the teams, but Fulham, I think at 11 is massive.
Yeah, it does seem a big price. They're in free fall at the moment. There's no doubt about that. Let's take a look at the Golden Boot market. Top Premier League goal scorer for the 12-13 campaign. The prices read like this, with Robin van Persie 13-8. He tops the charts at the moment with 14 goals. Luis Suarez, of course, banging form with 13 goals at 3-1. Demba Ba has got 13 as well at 10s. Michu 12-1. Aguero off the pace at the moment, 14. Defoe 16. Torres 25. Flash, who do you like Golden Boot?
Oh, I quite like Theo Walcott at 40-1, who's not on that caption, and that's just because he's going to play. Arsenal don't just score one and win 1-0. I feel as if he's going to play down the middle during in the Premier League, and maybe have his Giroud playing in the Champions League. So for me, I like him at 41, but RVP obviously 13-8. You're not going to get rich on it. You should have done him at the start of the season. 13-8
RVP favourite, and justifiably so. Where's the value, Chris?
I think Michu's too big at 12-1, but Flash is giving you a 40-1 shot there. Respect.
Walcott's interesting, isn't it?
It's a good shout, but I'm doubling that. I'm going bigger than that. I'm going 80-1. I've got an 80-1 shot. I'm going for 8, and that is Stephen Fletcher. 8 goals already this season. He's in the mix already, as it is, and Sunderland just beginning to improve. beginning to improve. When they were in good form back in August and September, he was rattling the goals, and so I think there's potential for him to score 20 this season if this purple patch continues, like it did this time last year. And if that's the case, that 80 to 1 on a man just 4 off the pace at the moment will be massive.
Could be the value each way, certainly when it comes to the Golden Boot. Lots of specials, lots of specials for 2013, as the bookmakers always put up 1 or 2. Chris, you've picked out some for us. Talk us through these specials that we're going to put up.
This is the highlight. This is every Hogmanay. I sit down in the morning and I look at the racing post as they offer all these prices. And 4 caught my eye here. 4 caught my eye. So the first one is an absolute dead set. It should be 1 to 5 for me, not 2 to 5. And that is Wilfred Zaha to join a Premier League club this calendar year or next calendar year. That's a dead set, surely. There's rumblings it's got to happen in January, never mind in the summer. So that's an absolute dead set for me unless he gets a bad injury. The other one, I'm interested to hear Flash's view on this. Nigel Adkins leaves Southampton. Odds against at 6 to 4. If they go down, I can't see him staying. And even if they go on a bad run at the moment, remember he's been odds on at times during the season in the sack race. If they go through a bad run,
even if they stay up.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's unbelievable.
Exactly.
6 to 4.
6 to 4.
He's 6 to 4 to be at work tomorrow. and yet he should be 600 to 1 because he's just done unbelievably well for the football
club. I love the guy he bets.
Yeah, so do I.
That 6 to 4 is far too big. As is Harry Redknapp to leave QPR in 2013, 11 to 2. He ain't sticking around if they get relegated. Why would he want to travel to Blackpool and Barnsley and stuff like that? He won't want to get involved with that 11 to 2. But the big one for me at the bottom there as well, it's far too big a price. Roy Hodgson to be sacked as England manager, 16 to 1. It's unlikely, of course it's unlikely, but basically you're betting on England not to qualify
big price,
for the World Cup, which at the moment is about 6 to 1, 7 to 1 for that to happen. They're in a really competitive group against Poland, the Ukraine, and a Montenegro side that they've struggled with traditionally. So it's still ridiculous to think that they might not qualify for the World Cup. And if that's the case, he ain't sticking around. He's gone, like Taylor, like McLaren, he'll be gone. So it's effectively, that 16 to 1 should really be 7 to 1. So it's a bit of value there. They're my 4 picks from the 2013 specials.
Flash?
I like the top 2. I think the top 2 could well be nailed on. I mean, the 2 to 5, I've heard he's going to go to Man United. I've been saying for a long while that he's potentially better than Victor Moses. And it's funny, Matt and Sir Alex didn't want Victor Moses, but he wants Wilfred Zaha. Gives you power, strength, probably will play down the middle in a good few years. So I think that's nailed. And I just, it's so precarious is Nigel Adkins at Southampton.
It's a shame, isn't it? But it's the truth.
Yeah, I mean, to the extent, this is how mad a place it is. It's like the Mad Hatter's Tea Party. Their best and most important player is Ricky Lambert. And there's rumblings that he might get sold in the window. It's just crazy.
But the others you'd leave alone, Harry?
Yeah, I'd certainly leave Harry alone.
And you think England will probably qualify?
Yeah, and also, it's not his doing if they go down. So he will then stay with them in the Championship and win and come back. And
does he want to do that though?
Yeah, but he's London. You ever look at the amount of London sides that are in the Championship? He's not travelling far.
He's a big time Harry as well. Does he want to play does he want to manage in the Championship?
Well, he's done it. He has done it with West Ham.
Many years ago.
Yeah, and again, I see him wanting to do a job. I don't think he's ever walked away from a job. And
Southampton.
Did he walk away? Or was
he got relegated and shoved?
Yeah, he was shoved. You do get shoved at Southampton.
As Nigel Adkins may well find out. Just briefly, before we go, best bets for the New Year programme. Some fantastic games. Best bets for you, is it, I don't know, West Brom against Fulham, what do you like?
Yeah, West Brom at Fulham, Arsenal.
Southampton?
Yeah, definitely. I'd go with West Brom, Swansea and Arsenal.
Quickly, Chris.
West Brom is a nap and it is a long outsider, 14 to 1, no goal scorer, Liverpool, Sunderland.
Yeah, watch out for those bets across the first Premier League fixtures of 2013. That wraps up the punter from myself, Dan Roebuck. Many thanks to Flash and Chris Graham as well. We will do it all again later in the week. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.